Was she jealous when Lazarbeam kissed Cray?
Very.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No, Loki. I think there was like a funny moment where everyone was like, ha ha ha, and it was like, ha ha ha, ha, and Lannon had to go and like hug her.
Cray?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is another wonderful day for many reasons. 1, the sun came up. 2, I'm still alive. And 3, we have a person, well, who's better looking than both Matt and I. He's got a wonderful accent, which means that realistically any girl in America would want him, but I'm sure he's doing fine in that front. He's way more rich than Matt and I combined. And
you think combined, really?
Basically known by every kid in America. The one, the only, Muselk is here on the show today. Welcome, you handsome beast. That famous brick wall right behind you. How you feeling?
Oh, it's a beautiful brick wall. I'm good. I got a couple of those statements. I don't know if they're quite true. I don't remember Drake investing in anything I ever made, but like far out. No, good to be here. I know people. Americans really do love the Australian accent, though. I'm convinced that's why Australia has so many like YouTubers, like me, Lockie, Lazarbeam, Fresh. Like America,
you guys just sound better. You just sound more sophisticated. You sound more intelligent, and
but still relatable. Slightly exotic, but relatable.
Yeah, and I was talking about it with you before we started recording, but it's like the vernacular too, right? It's like your vocabulary. You guys say keen. I love the way keen sounds. Yeah, I'm keen to it. I'm keen to go have a drink down at the pub. I don't know.
That wasn't Australian. I don't know what you just did.
For what it's worth, I love people in Australia. I'm terrible with accents. I can't do accents. But like Jack said, he was giving you your introduction, but I feel like we need to be official too, so that you guys can understand the magnitude of the size of Muselk and his presence on the internet. He has over 10 million subscribers. With over
it's 9.25. That's a sore topic. I'm not at 10 yet, and it's
we round up here at 100 Thieves.
I have 10 million subscribers. What he said.
Well, who cares how many subscribers you have when you have over 3 billion views across your YouTube channels? You know how many views those are? That is. Did I say that right? That 3 billion is just absolutely ridiculous, man. And it's a feat in itself, an accomplishment that not a lot of people have reached on YouTube. So I give you a round of applause, dude. I mean, I have 2 channels. I've been here since 2010. I don't even have 1 billion views between the 2.
You know what's crazy though? And like what really like put me in my place? Cause I was like, 3 billion views. You're right. It's a big number. I was chatting with like, I think Lockie and Ali the other day, and they linked this kids channel that's doing 3 billion a month. And I was just like, I basically, it just put me down. This kid's unboxing 2 toys a week, and he's doing more than.
Is that like Ryan's Toys or whatever his name is?
No, it's some new one. I forget the name of it, but they're literally doing like 150, 200 million views a day.
They're doing 3 billion views a month?
Yeah. It is like,
oh my God.
Bro, that kid's about to get Macaulay Culkin, bro. Those parents taking all that cash.
Oh, dude. I was like, I always wonder if they have like the same laws around like child actors where the kid has to keep 50%. Because either the parents are going to take it all, or that kid's going to turn 18 and he's going to go and buy like a private jet and a Lambo, and his friends are just going to,
Oh my God.
If we had a guess. All right, and Muselk, obviously you get more views than Jack and I both combined, so you'd be the best person to estimate how many from a kid's channel perspective, right? It's perfect for advertisers, so I'm sure there's no issues with demonetization, and the CPMs I would hope are pretty high depending on what relationship and deal he has worked out with YouTube or whatever MCN he might be with. Yep. Fuck, he could start like 10 MCNs himself. How much money do you think he's making a month off 3 billion views? What would be your best guess?
Best guess during Corona? I don't know. Assuming that kids' ad rates are still like relatively good, even if they're like kind of like similar to what like gamers get. I don't know. Just after all that kid, categorizing age content, like I wasn't sure if that hit it too hard. He's got to be making 10 million a month off YouTube revenue alone. Like that's like. everyone's out here talking about Ninja getting the bag with like, streaming deals. Nah, man, this kid's getting the bag every time he plays with Lego.
Let's go rob that kid.
100%.
we are not robbing any kids.
I'm sorry.
We're over that phase in our life.
I wasn't planning on having kids anytime soon, but all of a sudden that's looking real appealing.
I literally have a calculator
views.
on my second monitor, just
$10
like
million.
trying to figure things out.
Just imagine like manufacturing money at that scale. That's like 300-400 grand a day. Like that's just you going out. You could buy like 2 Ferraris a day.
Dude, what's crazy is I just did a calculation based off kind of like what I've been earning off of YouTube and for my viewership, and it literally went to 9.95 million is what, like, calculating if just like the straight up X times this would reach that in revenue. Oh my God.
You came up with that off the top of your head, Muselk?
What, like the rough revenue number?
Yeah, or have you looked into it before, you think?
No, I'm guessing roughly off what like the CPMs are that like most people get, and then knowing that they're an ad-friendly kids channel, like I think that's conservative. I reckon it could be more. I found the Social Blade. They're doing 3.4 billion views a month, and they're doing between 100 and 200,000 subscribers a day.
That's
dude, that makes my stomach hurt.
Oh my God,
like my stomach hurts.
They're gonna get 2 times my monthly views today. Like they're doing every 12 hours, they're getting 30 days of views. Like it's
honestly, man, fuck esports. I'm out. Or actually, 100 Thieves, we are gonna shift our business strategy completely. I'm gonna get a horde of kids.
Oh my God.
And we're just gonna unbox toys all day. And I'm gonna be like their cool uncle that comes in like Steve from Blue's Clues, and I'm gonna get famous off that.
I'm going to come visit the 100 Thieves office finally next year when everything opens up. It's just going to be a children's daycare. Just like...
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you know what?
And we're going to do it in every language. So we'll be hitting China. We'll be hitting Japan. We'll be hitting Europe. We'll be hitting India, South America. Oh my God, I got it all planned out. That's actually not a bad idea.
That's what these kids' channels do. So I found out this is only one of their channels. They then get this kid unboxing toys and they get it translated into 8 different languages, and they have a different channel for each language, which is also getting obscene amounts of views. Like, dude, I reckon across the board, throwing a couple of sponsorships, throwing those multitude of channels, I reckon they could easily be doing 20 million a month across like this one child who is doing 2 videos a week.
Well, Muselk, let me tell you this. We're not making $20 million a month, and that means we have to do ad reads.
Cash App, who've been with us since day number 1. If you don't use Cash App, then, well, fuck you. Just like if you don't watch Matt's stream or my stream. And you know what? To be honest, Muselk's stream too. If you aren't following Cash App on Twitch, you're missing out on a lot of awesome opportunities to win free cash. As you guys know, Cash App just loves giving away free cash, so make sure you're following over there, twitch.tv/Cash App. And also, like always, Cash App continues to support and work with the Gamers Outreach Foundation. If you use the promo code THIEVES, THIEVES, you can get $10 for yourself, and $10 goes to the Gamers Outreach Foundation, which helps kids in hospitals with long-term treatment. So it's an awesome organization. Cash App gives you free money, gives them free money. It's a win-win-win. So use promo code THIEVES when downloading Cash App in the App Store or Google Play Store today.
So, we haven't even talked to you about yourself. You just dropped some knowledge that made me and Jack both sick to our stomachs. So we're going to do our ad read, and then we're going to get back into your life, because I actually do have some thoughtful questions, I think, just to get a better understanding of where you came from and how you accomplished what you've had. Because my first interaction with you was through Fortnite and that generation of gaming on YouTube. But I feel like there's got to be so much more. So, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Chipotle. Really is my favorite food of all time. They just dropped their new Chipotle Goods collection. So I want you guys to check it out. It's literally Chipotle apparel. ChipotleGoods.com. They've got all types of products like tees, jackets, hats, active gear, and even chips and guac slides. That sounds incredible. I think I'm actually going to go to a site right now because I haven't even seen this yet. And when I say Chipotle is my favorite food, I'm not exaggerating, because I quite literally eat it every day. And you guys know this at this point if you watch my stream. And if you don't watch my stream, we ain't cool no more. Go fuck yourself. Take it away, Jack.
Yeah, well, thanks, Matt. And you don't watch my stream, then fuck you as well. But yeah, their new upcycled apparel is dyed using avocado pits. Profits are going towards organizations making apparel and farming more sustainable. If you don't already, go follow Chipotle on all their social media channels. At Chipotle tweets on Twitter, at Chipotle on Instagram, twitch.tv/Chipotle, and make sure you sign up for Chipotle rewards on the Chipotle app. But yeah, it's cool. They actually made a shirt that says like your exact Chipotle order written out in lines that you can make custom for what you get. And I just went to their website. They're sold out in every size from double extra small to 3XL, except for large. They're sold out across all of them. So if you're watching this and you're a size large like I am, you can go buy yourself one. Muselk, we've had some. Thank you. We've had some YouTube all-stars on here recently, and now you're added to that list. We've had Locky, we've had Vicstar, we've had Typical Gamer. I'm going to act like I have no idea who you are. Have you been around for as long as these guys? Because I know everyone really blew up with Fortnite more, but
dude, it's so funny you say that because like it's so weird these days. Like I'm like mates with Vic, like hang out with him, whenever we can. When we're not locked down on opposite sides of the world. But like I remember way back in the day, like I mean not way back in the day, but like around when I was getting like solidly addicted to gaming, like around Black Ops 1 was probably like the first game where I was like, I have a problem, like I'm like, I don't know why I'm spending hours trying to snipe with this sniper that literally isn't accurate until you've scoped in for like 4 seconds, like when it first came out, the L96, but like I was doing it. But I remembered, Vicstar Tomahawk montages when I was in high school. That was my shit, dude. I would froth on that. And then like, it was ages later, and I like met Vic at an event that we were at, and it was like, got to know it was great. And then like hit me, I was like, oh shit, like the Tomahawk montage guy that I used to watch like back in high school. Like that's sick, it's so weird. But yeah, no, it like YouTube wise, I think I kicked off in 2013, 2014. So not quite as OG. I think Vicstar is about as OG as it comes in the YouTube space. I think he was like uploading videos before you could upload videos, I think
this dude's uploaded like 40,000 YouTube videos or some shit.
Yeah. Nah, he's a machine. He's an absolute machine. I kicked off in like 2014 with TF2, Team Fortress 2. I don't know if you ever played it.
I did a little bit. Very little bit.
Such a good game. Still one of the all-time greats for me. Yeah, still kicking. So like testament to the game. So it was like TF2. I did that for a year and a half, 2 years. Then I went over to Overwatch when that came out.
There you go.
And kind of had my first real, kind of like a taste of what a big game is and like being a channel in that. And that was super fun. And then I sold out to Fortnite like everyone else.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah, but like I don't know, man. Overwatch. I was chatting to like Andy Miller, who obviously runs Energy the other day, and yeah, like I don't know, man. Like don't get me wrong, like I was great friends with, not anything bad happened, just haven't seen him in ages. With like a lot of the Overwatch devs, and I don't know, like I love them to bits, but I'm also like I just think that game was so mismanaged over what it could have been. Like I think you see Fortnite just keeping like Fortnite is just such a testament to how to keep a game relevant these days, and it like is a bit annoying, and I don't think it fits Blizzard's ethos around like perfection of content before they release it. But I don't know, man. Overwatch.
Don't get Matt and I started on Overwatch, man. That's something I think we both always talked about and been like, bro. I mean, I know you guys talked a little bit about it, and I actually got tweeted a bunch about and I saw like those esports reporting channels picked up as well, like Andy Miller's thoughts on it, because with the podcast we were talking about, he basically mentioned like now if he knew what the Overwatch League was and the Call of Duty League was, like he would pick the Call of Duty League. And I think literally that's all that we had been preaching from day one. Like 100%. I think the entry is still too high. Like I still would never feel comfortable joining a league like that. But I from day one was so anti, like just had no faith in the Overwatch League, because it's exactly what's happened. There's nobody new going to play Overwatch right now.
Yeah.
No one is going in and being like, I've got to go back and play Overwatch. And it never hit that ceiling. It's it's got yeah, it's crazy to think about where it is right now, especially everything that's happened. But what's funny, my first interaction I remember with you was the first Fortnite Pro-Am. I was super nervous because I wasn't supposed to play in it. I was originally told I was going to be in it. Then a week or so prior was told we had a miscount and you're the odd man out. You're the 51st creator. You are no longer in it, but we're still going to fly you out, come have a good time. And if for some reason someone gets sick or someone can't make it, you're the replacement. Well, the day prior, I get told Summit's no longer going to make it. You're taking his spot. Summit wound up having a front and center seat on the main stage, like in the shade. It was great. But in that first like warm-up game, or one of those first warm-up games, you were trying to shopping cart down the edge of a mountain and
you meme it. You really going to go here right now? You're going to go here? You're going to do this?
He's like, I'm going to tell you, man, this was the first time I've ever received that much hate on the internet. I was getting destroyed by your fans for killing you on that shopping cart. And I thought you were going to be mad at me. I was nervous. I was scared. I was just barely getting started. Like my streaming career was just starting to pick up. And I was like, damn, I'm about to get blacklisted by one of the biggest creators out here. And his fan base is going to kill me.
You thought we were going to be at war forever.
Yeah, I really did.
I remember I felt bad that you felt so bad. I was like, oh man, that was like the dream game for me. That I'd just taken out Myth. I just killed Myth in Tilted Towers. I was like, oh yeah, Myth down. Like I've got this as like I totally just shot him in the back while he was fighting someone else. But no one needs to know that. If anyone asks, it was an intense 1v1 and I totally outplayed the guy. And yeah, and then there was the shopping cart moment, which I think I've just always looked back on. I've watched that clip back 50 times. And I was so nervous because I knew the camera was on me. I knew everyone was watching me. I knew this had the potential to be like a legendary moment. Yeah. And I fumbled. I didn't hit spacebar before jumping into the cart, because when you do it, you have to get in the cart really quickly so you can start building. Yeah. And absolutely crushing. Absolutely crushing. But I don't hold it against you. It was a fun event. It was a sick event.
The Fortnite event was awesome. They did a great job with that first Pro-Am. That was when I still played Fortnite, and I was honored to be invited out there. And Jack, I love how he mentioned that he had a front center seat and stage under the shade, because I was on the side that was still under the sun. And I'm not kidding. I think I got like a 3rd-degree burn on my hand when I touched my keyboard and mouse for the first time. And just the whole setup they had at the football stadium was great. Yep. And they treated us really well. So I'm glad that I think you're absolutely right. I know we talked about it a little while ago. I don't want to get started on Overwatch, but it's just interesting to me to hear that you started on Overwatch. Just because, I mean, and I don't mean to sound ignorant in any way, but Fortnite was really how I was introduced to Muselk and this incredible channel and community that you've built on YouTube. And every interaction that I've had with you, and I was saying that before we even started filming the podcast, has been so positive. And it's always a great time. You know what I love about hanging out with the Australian YouTubers is you guys all love to go out and drink and have fun. And you guys don't take yourselves too serious, man. And I just always enjoy our interactions.
Yeah, no. I love coming to LA and seeing everyone, man. I think it's so fun. And yeah, I think you're definitely right on Australians being keen to go out. I think it's interesting because not that you can't really go out in Sydney, but I think it's like the difference is that, obviously you guys are in LA all the time, right? So you've got, you're kind of like in that like YouTuber, like going out space, like all the time. Like, you've got like a lot of people you can like go out and have drinks with and like chat with, and who are kind of in the same space, who kind of get what you're doing and understand what you're kind of like about. Whereas, Sydney's like me, Lazarbeam, and then, Lockie's up in Brisbane. And Lannon isn't really like as much of a going out guy. So like, it's kind of like when you go to LA and all of a sudden there's like house parties, which you never really see in Sydney. And like all these people who like actually kind of are in the same industry and like get what you're about. And you can have like sick chats with, and you're like, oh dude, that thing you did is fucking sick. I want to chat about that. I want to know what that was like. Like I find that so good. And I also I really love when you're in just like a group of people who you all feel like comfortable with and like chill with, because I think at least like in Australia sometimes, not as much anymore, but like I used to be like really like social interactions I'd sometimes find like exhausting, because half the time if I was chatting to someone who I didn't really know, I don't know. I always used to get so paranoid about people having like ulterior motives, and like you'd get this
Absolutely.
someone was chatting to you for like not the right reasons, and that they were like, you know, like just not really like not like a friendly chat, almost more like you're like, are we having like a business discussion right now, or is this like what is this?
Yeah.
Whereas like
I
whenever
think-
I'm in LA, like chatting to you guys, I'm always just like, yeah, this is good. Like
I think you're absolutely right, man. I mean, dude, and I'm not comparing YouTube creators and, you know, gamers in this industry to people, you know, successful actors or celebrities or athletes. I mean, some of these guys, especially people like Muselk and some of the bigger YouTubers, you guys are really starting to rival these guys for income and cash that you're making. But it's the reason why you always see actors and actresses dating each other or getting married, or, you know, people of affluent backgrounds who are successful, they're around other successful people, because you don't have to worry about ulterior motives. You don't have to worry about people wanting to be friends with you or wanting to hang out for different reasons. I mean, it just makes sense. And so I think that's why you hit the nail on the head. YouTube parties, and when everybody gets together at events and goes out together, you're just comfortable because you all are within the same business. You all have a respect for each other that, you know, somebody else that you might meet randomly on the street wouldn't have for you as well. And it just makes things easier. It makes people comfortable. So I completely agree. I've always felt that way. And I think it goes to show what I brought up is you and I had never met. And when we finally did, you were just so kind and so easy to talk to. It's just like, okay, we're friends now. We just have that general respect for each other. So I think it's super beneficial to be around people that are like-minded and as successful as you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Do you think that
I think it's good.
For you know, I know a lot of people out there, you mentioned the YouTube group, the YouTubers that come out from Australia. I mean, first off, really quick, how many times have you done that 10 to 12 hour flight from Australia to LA? How many times have you done that in your life? This seems like something that Matt would love.
I don't know. I actually love that flight though, man. I love that flight.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
No, I do. It's like as soon as international travel has layovers, that's when I'm out. Like as soon as there's a layover, I'm like, I'm no longer down for this. But and don't get me wrong, I'm very lucky that like I can like do that trip in business class. But I do love being able to just like get on a plane, put my phone down and just get in my little pod for like 12 hours and just curl up with a little blanket and a movie. I'm like, I'm gonna watch that little movie right there.
A little
and I'm
champagne.
Just gonna, like, have a little nap. And they're like, come on, like, you want a champagne? I'm like, you know what? I'll do that. I'll do. You want another? And they're like, you want another one? I'm like, oh, you little rascal. Like, yeah, okay, I'll have one more. But yeah, like I don't know. I actually love that flight. I don't know. I think, I'm guesstimating like 20, 25 times I've probably done it. Like, I think on like a big year, I was probably going back and forward like maybe 10 times in the year. But like it's the flights to Europe. They're the bad ones. They're the ones you don't like. So I think the worst trip I ever did was back when I was a baby boy YouTuber, and it was actually like the first sponsored thing I ever really got. It was like Ubisoft, and they were like, we'll give you like $2,000 if you go to Gamescom and make us 3 videos. And I was like, I remember just being so over the moon. I was like overjoyed. First time you go to an event, it wasn't even about the money though. It's like first time you go to an event and you're like, holy shit, someone is paying for me to go to the biggest gaming event in the world. Like, that's insane. Like, I think it was like a bit of a like recognition of like, I'm like real now. Like I have some semblance of value. But yeah, that flight is brutal. That's Sydney to Abu Dhabi to London to Berlin, and then a train from Berlin to Cologne.
Oh my God.
Like, that sounds miserable. I think I'd rather die.
I think it was like 44 hours. And especially towards the tail end as well. Like that first flight's like 12 hours, right? But then towards the tail end, then it's like a 8-hour flight, and then it's like a 2-hour flight, and then you're like waiting in the airport, and then you're getting on the train, and it's just like you can't sleep at any point. You can't just like chill. It's like, changing between planes and trains and going to your hotel constantly. Yeah. And oh man, I remember I got to the end of that trip and I was like, I'm never doing this again.
That is not ideal to say the least. I can do one. I did Japan as a flight, and I was like, that was the long one. So still haven't been to Australia. I want to, but you mentioned how you guys have those voices that people just seem to love in Australia. You guys have so many big time YouTubers that come from there, obviously, with your kind of whole Click group being the center focus of it all. And it was recently announced that Click is, no longer, is it no longer together? Is it in a hiatus? What is Click right now?
So there's
in your words.
Yeah, this is where it gets a bit confusing from an audience perspective, which we initially really tried to avoid this because we knew it would happen, but it ended up not being possible. There's the first part of Click was Click Management, which is something I started with my manager, which basically is literally just like talent management company. And we do the talent management for most of the channels in Australia.
And that's still happening.
Yeah, that's still that's we've got this whole building that I'm in right now, and we've got like all the managers working out there, and then on the floor beneath, that's where Fresh and Lazarbeam and all those guys record.
Yep.
And like Mully, and I don't know if you watch much VR content, but all those guys are. But yeah, so there's Click Management. That's still a thing, and that always was a thing. The Click House and that Click YouTube group started maybe a year or so, a year and a half into Click Management existing, where we had a bunch of people who were just super keen to make one of those groups and move into a house together. And yeah, that was the part that stopped, just because I don't know, it got to a point where I think everyone lost a bit of that excitement for making the content.
Yeah.
And also then we had a couple of people move interstate. COVID-19 happened, which makes it even harder to film. And it was just kind of a bit of a death by 1,000 cuts. It was just little issue. Oh, we can get over that. Another little, and then it just got to a point where it was is this are people really enjoying this? Because if not, then why do it?
I feel you on that. I feel like those any group sort of setting like that, it's kind of, you got to have everyone on board, or else once a few people start to have other priorities and things go, it's oh man, hey, maybe we take a hiatus, and the next thing you know, hey, who knows? Maybe you guys will come back like a boy band one day. Maybe a Click World Tour when this is all said and done.
Yeah.
I mean, I would get tickets to the meet and greet. I'd want you and Fresh to hold me in your hands. I'm a little bit heavy, but
just cradle you between us like that.
Yeah.
And Fresh is a big boy. He could pick you up.
Fresh is talking about someone that's completely popped off as well as Fresh. And I mean, it's cool to see. It's interesting because Fresh streams on Twitch, but then I think basically all the rest of you guys, you, Lazarbeam, Lachlan, all you guys have YouTube deals. I remember, in our excitement, signed for YouTube streaming. So that was one of my favorite moments last year, was knowing, because I knew for a bit that I was moving to YouTube, but then we went to that creator summit right before I was announcing everything, and all of us were hanging out, and we just we knew, and Vicstar, all of us, we all knew that hey, this was really the year where YouTube was going to dive more into streaming and give it the effort it deserved. And they've made some great changes and more to come, and they've had so many big creators now sign the platform, including PewDiePie, who's more recently announced.
Went out and had White Claws with Ryan at that pub.
Oh, see,
that was first White Claw experience.
I remember hearing about this, dude.
That night was That night was something, bro. We were feeling no pain by the end. I mean, like it always is, bro. We were feeling no pain by the end of it, but damn, that was those were good times. But yeah, to actually, as we're filming this right now, there's a huge day tomorrow in gaming and battle royales, and we always talk about it, but Fortnite obviously changed the game for how the industry approaches things, with how they have battle pass, seasons, consistent updates, free to play, cross-platform, cross-progression. At this point, if there's something good in gaming that has been recently changed, it's probably due to what Fortnite has done.
Facts.
And if they didn't do it, they copied it.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, the rising tide raises all ships is right there. So Fortnite had a Cars update that was supposed to come out, a big update to the game. I mean, this is one of the bigger updates that I've heard of that isn't a season update, and it got pushed back. And then now, 3 days ago, it gets announced that the Cars update is releasing the exact same morning as the huge new Warzone update that's coming
almost the same hour. Almost the same hour.
And this is not the first time that this has happened. I remember back in the day when PUBG or there was another battle royale that was getting really big or people were playing again. Yeah. And then Fortnite, they came out and said, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna give you creator codes. We're gonna get."
Oh no, it was
Did I forget that?
No. It was Apex Legends was starting to take off.
Yeah,
people were playing a ton of Apex, and then Fortnite was like, "Hey, creators, you come back to Fortnite right now. People use your code, they get a free skin, and there's 4 times creator revenue." And then they released,
that's what it was. Yeah,
and then they re-released soccer skins. And I remember, I mean, Muselk knows that creator code was hitting at that point.
Oh, when the soccer skins
it
hit.
was a Saturday night when the soccer skins hit, and I mean, I think I don't even remember how many creators I had at my peak. Maybe like 80,000. Like
Jesus,
some of these guys. No. Like Scissors at the time had like 550K. I mean, Muselk, I'm sure you've had close to that, if not even more. This hit, Matt. I didn't do a thing that Saturday, and I looked at how much money I made, and my jaw dropped.
And
I was like,
Fortnite.
And I was like, hey. But they've never done that again. What's crazy is you mentioned that I don't think they've ever done that again.
It just can't be a coincidence at this point.
No, I mean in regards to the support creator, but yeah, no, exactly about this. I mean, it's like it's 2 titans now battling each other because Warzone just announced they've had 75 million players, and Call of Duty is going to be the entire universe is going to be around Warzone for the future.
I still think, like, don't get me wrong, I love Warzone. I think that it is so fun. I don't necessarily believe it has quite the depth of gameplay to keep people once you hit that, like, you know, you put thousands of hours into the game mark. I think Fortnite's a game where I still feel like I'm learning so much every day. I think just because of the building element. I think Warzone, you know, like I've spoken to a few of my my friends who are big like Warzone YouTubers and streamers, and I think even they're getting a little bit tired of it. That said, though, I am so amazed with that game, man. I love Warzone to death. I'm really interested to say, but
I would actually play devil's advocate a little bit with you though, because the depth that Fortnite has, and you talk about learning every single day and trying to keep up with the meta and trying to keep up with these kids that build, you know, the city of New York. And once you get shot at, I think that's what's turned away a lot of players. So the people that are in love with the game still, and people who have reached that level of play where they can keep up with almost anybody. Yeah, I think that's why Warzone has become so attractive, right? Because Call of Duty, obviously we've had this competitive background. It's what I did for years, but Call of Duty has always been the game where people come home from work, have a couple drinks with their boys, or just hang out. They're in and out for like 2 or 3 hours. And that's been Activision's bread and butter. And that's why games have never been tailored towards competitive, because they know their demographic and their audience. So yeah, I can understand when you have creators that are spending 10 hours a day recording content or streaming and playing, and they're getting burnt out. Totally understand that. But the casual player, I think in Warzone, just like any battle royale, it keeps things fresh. You know, no engagement is the same. And I think with them trying to get a little bit more in sync with Fortnite strategy, with the battle passes and the seasons, they're adding this train, they're adding new equipment, they're adding new weapons. And I think the big tell from what Jack just mentioned is them announcing that Warzone is going to be the centerpiece of their universe. Call of Duty hasn't left before. I mean, Blackout was okay for what it was. Yeah. That was the start for Call of Duty's, okay, there's interest for a battle royale here. Yeah. They absolutely nailed Warzone. And that's where I'm happy and excited, because now that I know that Warzone is going to be around and it's going to be their biggest focus, I think to myself, fuck, dude, I've got a job for like the next 10 years. There's no problem with that. And so I understand what you're saying, but the thing about Fortnite, you have Chapter 2, right? People really didn't enjoy it as much as people anticipated that they were. But with Call of Duty, you're going to get a new Warzone, reskinned, new environment, new era, new weapons, new everything every single year. And they've got 3 devs working on it. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. But I think just for that one specific point, the depth of it and learning and building, that's what makes me not play it anymore in any regard. Like in any capacity, I hate it because of how difficult it is. What made it fun has ruined the game for me because it's just too difficult.
No, 100%. I think you're right. I think that's Fortnite's biggest. It's almost like it's a strength, but also a blessing. Is that Warzone? I can not play for a month, and I can jump back into it a month later, and I still know how to point and click at people in shooter games. I still understand the flow of a battle royale and like have decent game sense. I can play the game. I can do decently. I can have fun. Whereas Fortnite, holy crap, man! If you take your foot off the pedal for like a month, 2 months, you come back, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, number one, you're a bit slower, but also everyone's just progressed to this crazy level. I think the one thing I do really respect about Fortnite's like combat and fighting is, I would say almost always, with a few exceptions, if you get matched up against someone in a fight, whether or not that's just like a customs 1v1 or like in an actual game, I would say the vast majority of the time, I feel like if I lose a fight, I'm like, that guy was a better player. He definitely outplayed me there. Like, he edited better, he shot better, he aimed better, he built better. Like, if I 1v1 Fresh in Fortnite, and Fresh is trying, dude, he will beat me 99 out of 100 times, if not 100. I can't get an edge on the kid, because he is like, there's so many elements that he is better than me in, that when you combine them all, it's incredible. I think sometimes in Warzone, I'm like, I know I could have played a situation better, but I can't always as easily understand why I lost an engagement beyond just like aim better. But I totally agree. I think you're right. I think it's the like, I think neither of them are like pros, or I think they both have pros and cons. I actually think is a better way to put it. I think you're right. I think Fortnite maintains a player base by having this constant feeling that you're improving, but by doing that, they're alienating people who don't keep playing the game every day. And then I think you're on the Warzone side, you're right, there is a lot there that you always feel like you're improving in. And oh my God, coming back to that game now, as opposed to the first month when it came out, people are cracked at that. But also at the same time, I don't feel alienated from the game if I don't play it for a little bit. Whereas that's the problem with Fortnite, you're right.
Yeah.
I think that's why they're trying so much with like everything that they're doing to party royale, concerts going on, watch a movie in the game. LTMs, fun LTMs are back, new things here. So you can tell that
for the casuals.
Yeah, like cars. It's like you can tell they're just trying to throw out things that like is like, hey, and like they literally had a LTM that was like no sweat mode or whatever, like literally where you can only build like 3 things. So
yeah,
you can tell Fortnite knows that, and they're kind of trying to here. Another game that had a big update today was Valorant, and they released their Act 2, a new character named Killjoy, a new deathmatch modes, things like that. But also Shroud has teased a super cryptic thing on Twitter the last week, and it now looks like it's something with Valorant, maybe going pro, maybe starting his own team. Who knows? But there's been stuff from Shroud now going out. As we know, Shroud, Ninja, Doc, all not streaming right now. And in between 2018 2019, those were literally the 3 biggest streamers in the world. So quite the insane spot. And yeah, right. It's like, if you're Shroud, you got all the money in the world. This dude is a robot when it comes to these games. Are you spending your time going pro in Valorant?
I wonder. There are certain creators where I like see them and I'm just like, do they like, is money like the motivation for them, or are they just kind of like, or do they have enough where they just kind of like, they're going to do what they do? Like, I think Ninja obviously is very business oriented, but I almost feel like these days he's also at a point where that trade-off between doing something to get the bag and doing what he wants to do is probably getting a little bit, leaning more towards doing what you want to do. I think early on, a lot of creators will obviously, but because we our careers are generally, they're not 50-year careers, like a lot of jobs, for most people at least. But yeah, I think early on you'll make a lot more of those like decisions based on how to like maximize your income. But I think the thing with all 3 of those guys, with the exception of Doc, I think Doc is an interesting one because I think he was hitting his, not that he hasn't been in his stride, but he hasn't got like one fat bag like what Ninja and Shroud got through Mixer. I think he was still needed to like keep on capitalizing on the like crazy brand that he is. Yeah, but I'm just like, I'm interested in what motivates them, and I'm also so interested in what they're going to do. I can't get enough of that topic. I talk about it way too much.
I think Shroud at this point, in my opinion, to touch on what you just said, I mean, Doc obviously hasn't gotten that payday. I mean, he's been making really good money, so I don't want to talk like he's making pennies. Doc is very well off and really probably doesn't need to think about money for the rest of his life. But for Shroud, he's made enough now from this Mixer deal. He's been away from competing for so many years, and for me, in some ways, I think there's aspects of competing that I didn't like, the practicing and scrimming, which is obviously a major component of it. But with how talented he is, and now that he doesn't need to worry so much about money, maybe it is time for him where he's thinking to himself, it would be fun to compete. I enjoy this game a lot, and I think I'm really good at it, and maybe it could be something fun for me to do. I mean, at a certain point, now with the money that they have, it really should be focused on being happy. So we'll see. I don't know. We talked a little bit on the last podcast, I believe, or maybe it was a personal conversation. Sometimes it blends together with Jack and I. But I saw a lot of people tweeting about the fact that it's so weird and strange that we haven't seen Ninja and Shroud and nobody comment on their current situations. And to me, I think, okay, well, this is even better for them. Drama always and mystery always adds fuel to the fire. It's like every time somebody has gotten banned from Twitch and come back, they're at 10x bigger. It's like Tfue, Doc. So the longer that Shroud and Ninja are away, I think the better the outcome probably is for them, as long as it's not too far off the deep end.
I will say one thing.
They've got a little bit in savings as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. One thing that I'm actually really envious of, and then we can change topics of it.
Because I have a question on Muselk, because I'm sort of blown away from this write-up that we have here. Go ahead.
No, so the last thing I'll say is Shroud actually has one of the coolest things that they're now launching on his YouTube channel. I guess his editing team or whatever. It seems like someone from 2013, whenever Shroud's streaming, has just been clipping a crazy clutch or a crazy one tap, crazy kill streaks, and for the next like 8 days, it is Shroud's best ever one taps, Shroud's best ever snipes, Shroud's best ever clutches across 23 FPS games from the last 8 years, all 20 plus minutes in length. And it's just a log that I wish I had for myself of like my career. And I think it's just a really cool thing that's going on. But go ahead, Matt.
So, Muselk, please forgive me for my ignorance, because like I said, I was not familiar with you until Fortnite, and honestly, I've never really dove that deep. I just know that you're successful and a cool guy. I think that's something really cool, because we have our producers write up some fun facts about yourself, and it's really helpful for us. I mean, what we found is our stride. I think Jack and I, we don't ever really need this write up, but something that's kind of blowing my mind here is it's two-pronged question and statement. One, you and Lazarbeam are obviously very close. I had no idea that you had a sister that is dating Lazarbeam.
Yeah.
Are you guys like best friends, you and Laser?
Yeah. No. Yeah, we're good friends.
Did you guys meet before YouTube or after?
Like during YouTube. Yeah.
During YouTube.
We met during like the Fortnite phase. Like around when Playground mode first came out was when we all started chatting. Like him, me, Lockie, kind of like that group kind of like came together as a bit of a thing. And we so there's like a big like pub complex in Sydney, and my sister was like working there at the time, and one night we all went out for drinks and they met and kicked off, which is good for them.
How long have they been together?
Legit
for?
though, I'm like they're both like everyone's like, oh, it's got to be so weird, man. I'm like nah, like Lannon's like ultimately you want your sister to date like a good guy. Like Lannon's like a really fucking good guy, and also is like pretty financially stable. So like,
hey, I think he's doing all right.
Keep it in the family, bro. Yeah. There's always like that cliche. You my best friend is banging my sister. Wait, I didn't say that properly.
Whoa, what the fuck?
No, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I truly, I wasn't even trying to be funny for the podcast. It's just like you see that in movies, right?
True. Yeah.
So are they engaged?
No, they are living together though.
How long have they been dating for?
What would it be, like a year and a half, almost 2 years maybe?
Yeah, so for me, it's when you know somebody really well and you like them as a person and they're dating a sibling of yours. I think that cliche is stupid. I think that'd be the best thing ever. That's like the ideal situation.
I'd be dummy hype.
Worry about like skeletons in the closet or this guy being a weirdo, treating your sister like shit. It's a good thing.
100%. They're like, they're obsessed with each other, and
great, man. I love that for you guys.
Yeah, and it's like ultimately, yeah, like you said, I think your biggest concern when it comes to like, you know, what your family's up to is you want them to be like good and happy, and I definitely know that that's the case. So I'm like, everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be so weird. I'm like, nah, it's pretty ideal. Prefer that than like some random dude who I, you know, could potentially be an asshole that I don't actually know.
Was she jealous when Lazarbeam kissed Cray?
Very.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No, Loki. I think there was like a funny moment where everyone was like, ha ha ha, and it was like, ha ha ha, ha, and Lannon had to go and like hug her.
Cray?
We did a charity stream for the Australian bushfires, and at a certain like Lannon made some comment. It was like, oh, if we get to like this donor goal, I'm gonna like kiss Cray. So.
Not the Cray that is like Ava's friend Cray that you know.
Oh, not musician Cray. No,
yeah, not musician Cray.
Cray's a dude who's in Click who has a really great mustache.
Okay. So
yeah, his mustache is really impressive.
And then the other part that I wanted to ask you about is something that's a little bit more personal, but I think is actually really cool. I had no idea. So your mother is actually a very successful businesswoman. And can you give me a little background before I ask my next question? Because it says here she was the CEO of Coca-Cola Amatil.
Yeah, so Coca-Cola Amatil is basically like Coca-Cola for kind of like Asia, New Zealand, Australia kind of area. Yeah, so she's run that for like 4 or 5 years now, I think.
That is unbelievable.
That's so badass.
Yeah,
what the hell?
That's so cool. And I that's what I wanted to ask you, right? Because, you know, you hear a lot of people especially in LA and Hollywood that have successful parents and really never live up to that level of success. And it could have a psychological toll. You see a lot of people here that grow up on trust funds or grow up on investments from their parents and the success of their parents, and they don't ever find their own path and they don't ever find their own way. And they struggle substantially just to be a normal human being in normal interactions.
Yeah.
And so obviously, you know, if she's been around Coca-Cola for 4 or 5 years, she probably had success before that. Was there any pressure in your mind when you were young to live up to that level of success? Or was there a driving force behind you that you wanted to prove to your family that you could carve your own path? Because I think what you've done is just nothing short of incredible. And I'm beyond happy for you and your success. But I'm curious if you ever had that lingering thought in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I think weirdly, like they were like, I think my parents have always been really good and motivating and like very driven, you know, props to them for like letting me kind of like go out on a bit of a limb and, you know, actually chase YouTube for a bit because mum let me crash at her apartment during the early days when I wasn't quite making minimum wage.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I think it was interesting. I think weirdly, it was almost like, you know, being like CEO of a company like that, it was almost like such a level where I was like, hey, look, like I'm probably never going to quite, you know, be able to do anything like that. So I think it was almost like such a level that I didn't really have that motivation to, you know, like surpass or anything. But I think it was definitely very motivating just to see, you know, growing up around the fact that she's obviously very like passionate about what she does. But she's got an even better, like she's got the most interesting story. Like I'll give you the Cliff Notes version, but she grew up on a farm in country Tasmania, which is the tiny little island at the bottom of Australia. And growing up, she was like, oh, I want to be a farmer's wife. Like that was like her thing. That's like what she wanted to do in life, was just be the wife of like a Tasmanian farmer. And then her mum one day was like, oh yeah, but you know, like maybe keep your options open. Like you could always go to business school. She was like, oh, okay, like I'll do it. And I might meet someone there. And then that kind of like led to what she's doing now.
Who makes more money?
I mean, look, maybe me for a couple of years, but she's got a career unlike me. So.
Yeah.
And she probably got some equity options, some stock in Coca-Cola as well, huh?
I actually have no idea. I literally don't know what.
It's pretty standard for compensation packages at that point, at, you know, that high up in a company. It's honestly like half the reason why people probably take jobs at that level.
Yeah, so you can get like Elon Musk $3 billion of equity.
Yeah. Well, I find that's like such a cool story. When I was scrolling through this before the podcast started, I couldn't believe it. I had to Google it to make sure I was reading it correctly, because I was unfamiliar with Amatil. I think that's what was throwing me off. Yeah. But did you drink a lot of Coke when you were growing up?
Like like yeah, like Coke Zero. I don't know. Like I probably don't have that much full strength Coke. I remember early on in YouTube, it was really weird because like I'd have like another drink company like approach me to like sponsor me, and that was like weird to navigate early on because like obviously optics wise for her, she couldn't really have her son sponsored by the competition. So I was like, oh well, you know, you better get in there with a competing offer. Not actually, because that would be a horrible conflict of interest. But yeah, no. Early on, it was an interesting thing to navigate. But yeah, no, it's sick. I'm really proud to both my parents are very motivating people.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, they're both very good.
So the next question I have, and I always like to ask for people that are successful, and that's usually a running theme with the guests that we have. And feel free to answer this however you'd like, or to just tell me to shut the fuck up, because that'd be fine too. Are there any things that you like to splurge on? Are there any things that you like to spend money on? You know, some people I enjoy buying watches. I enjoy cars. Those have always been something that I like the ability to go and purchase for myself. And you're obviously very successful, and being around successful parents, maybe they instill a different mindset for you. But I'm curious, man, is there any, like, what was the biggest purchase you've ever made, or the purchase that you were most proud of that just really told yourself, yeah, I fucking did it, man. I made it.
So I feel like, yeah, I go through phases. I remember like there was like the first like splurge phase I went through where I discovered like, designer clothes a bit more. And I like went to my first Off-White store, and I went through a bit of a phase there. I think it was weird when the Fortnite phase happened, because obviously, like Overwatch and YouTube was like, it was like decent money, but then Fortnite happened, and like relative to anything I'd known before, it was just ridiculous. You know, but I think when I think about stuff that I splurge on, I don't really go for that many big ticket items. Like I don't own a car. I Uber everywhere, because getting parking in Sydney's a nightmare. Half the time, if I'm like, going out, I don't want to drive because I might have a drink or two, and then I can't actually get home, and then I got to deal with parking. So I Uber everywber. So
you guys don't drink and drive in Australia?
Like
I'm paying.
Thanks. But I feel like everyone I see in LA has a fucking McLaren, dude. Like I see these YouTubers who are like 100,000 subs, and they're just bought my first Lamborghini, and I'm like, fuck, am I the only one out here who's not buying Lamborghinis and McLarens? Like, Jesus. But no, like I'd say, yeah, I did go through a little bit of a watch phase. Nothing crazy. Like I remember, oh man, there was like this whole a year and a half ago where Lockie was like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna get that Richard Mille. And we literally went to the point of going to the Richard Mille store. And that's when we discovered you cannot just go into a shop and say one Richard Mille, please.
Yep.
You have to like pre-order that shit. But yeah, so I've got a couple of watches, like a Navitimer and Hublot.
I love it, man. Yeah, I've got a Hublot as well, dude. You got good taste.
Yeah,
no, man.
I love those watches. They're probably the two like biggest like splurge items I have. Other than that, like I find a lot of comfort in like saving and investing and like buying a house. So I've like, got a house, and then other than that, I'm very much like it's almost like a big cushion, just knowing that if at the end of the day, if everyone overnight decides, hey, like his videos suck, we don't want to watch him anymore, that like I'm okay. Like I'll be fine. Which, yeah, I think I'm keen. I'm definitely keen and excited to like get my first car. Like I'm so excited to get my first car.
What would you buy right now? You could buy your first car right now.
Practically Audi R8, just because they're not as expensive. Realistically, though, I would love to get a 4.
They're not making those anymore.
You can get the Decennium.
Oh yeah, that's the. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm drinking a White Claw, so I got carbonation. Yeah, you are right. My apologies.
Yeah. And then I mean, like money, like, and then like the tier up from that would be probably a Ferrari 458, and then the tier above that would be a McLaren Senna.
I love it, bro. I'm waiting for a YouTuber to boss up and buy like a Rolls Royce, dude. I want to see it. The thing about, I actually agree with you. I feel like a lot of people in LA, they have like 100,000 subscribers, and then they're pulling up in a Lamborghini, and I'm trying to figure out X, Y, and Z. This shit don't make no sense. But in some regards, a lot of not for every channel and not for every genre of YouTube, but I actually respect when people go and buy a car. Obviously, if it's too far out of your means, don't do it. But in a lot of ways, you know, people attract towards success, and people like to watch other people have fun. And in some regards, I actually think investments in those, obviously I wouldn't call it an investment from like a financial standpoint, because you're losing value on a lot of cars that you could buy. Obviously, somebody like Captain Sparkles, he actually does a great job of buying cars that, you know, raise in value. But when some people buy these cars, you know, young kids are very impressionable, and that level of success that they think that YouTuber has because they own that car can sometimes help, because it just attracts other eyes, attracts other people that want to be around you. And I just think that's just like human nature and human culture in general. Now, again, I don't think everybody should go out and do that, but if someone's making that investment and thinking about the way that I would think about it, that was actually in some ways why, like, I went and bought a G-Wagon, dude. I mean, I was still making pretty good money, but, you know, spending like $150,000 on a car at that age with the lack of security that I've had wasn't the best idea in the world. But in a lot of ways, that G-Wagon that I bought actually turned into like a chapter of my life that people still bring up to this day in my chat. Like, I saw a comment today, like, hey man, do you miss the G-Wagon? It becomes this moment that, you know, people are invested in. So, I mean, that's here and there. But this is the way I think about it.
No, totally, dude. I'm a huge believer, and I think it took me a little bit to understand, but I'm a huge believer in you know, not being like too strict on yourself, letting yourself enjoy stuff. You know, if you see, and I think one of the coolest things for me about, like, you know, the money from YouTube is just not having to stress. You know, like I can be like, oh, like I want to go out and have like a really nice dinner tonight. I can do that. And it doesn't, like, I don't have to like stress about the bill at the end of the night. Or I can be like, oh, like I want to, you know, like take everyone out and get a table at a club. Can do that. It's not a big stress. And I think, like, but also like with the big ticket items, totally agree. Like, if you're like, this is something that is like really important to me, and I've been like having this as like a goal for a while, letting yourself do that is so important. And I know for me, at least, like I have this fear, because I think YouTube is this weird thing where it's so easy to just like, you can work ridiculously hard, and most big YouTubers I know are absolute grinders. Like, we're all lucky to have the job, but I don't know many YouTubers who, at least for a large stage of their career, weren't absolute like hustling, grinding machines. You know, like Lannon is still to this day edits all his own content. He's in here until 2 a.m. some nights. Like, people don't understand the work that goes in. But I think that for me, I've got this fear that I'm gonna like get to 30 and then look back and like be like, oh, like what did I do in my 20s? And I'm like, oh, I like sat in my room and recorded, and like, yeah, I made great money, but like also, where did my 20s go, you know? So I'm now, I think the first couple of years of YouTube, I was like, I would have, you know, my family be like, oh, like we're going to do this like little birthday party for someone down in Tassie. Do you want to come? And I'd be like, no, I got to work. I got to upload. Like, can't do anything. Whereas these days, I'm now like, I don't really care what the opportunity is. If there's something that comes up that sounds like an experience, I'm very much like, get me there. I want to do it. Whether that's like a trip overseas, or, you know, like going out for a night with friends, or whatever it is. I'm very much these days about like wanting to like do things and do anything unique. That's
absolutely,
like,
man.
Yeah.
It's funny how the priorities change. It's funny how it works, right?
100%.
It's crazy. I think a lot of creators go through that, and man, it's good, dude. Listen, you ever want to buy an ignorant car? We'll be the first ones to come visit you and take a ride in it. I promise.
Hey, bro.
Matt and I will get out there. You get
with you and everything, man.
Yeah, get a Rolls Royce truck, bro. I know you're good for it.
100%.
500K.
Full send it. I mean, dude, like cars in Australia, it's like, think of what you pay in America.
Oh, they're like extra expensive, right?
Yeah, we got luxury car tax, and houses are just insane. You want to get like a average 2-bedroom apartment within like 20 minutes of the city, that'll set you back over $1 million. Like,
what?
Yeah, dude. The
holy fuck.
Yeah, like the house we were renting for the Click House was like the biggest house we could find, but not that big, because Sydney just doesn't build. We don't get those mansions like what you guys get in LA, right? And that was like $500,000 a year to rent, and it was like a 4-bedroom.
God.
It was like a 4-bedroom house, and the bedrooms weren't that big at all. Like
Hey,
nothing.
good
near
thing
what
you had a
guys
glow
have.
up, bro. Let's get it. Hey, that YouTube money ain't playing out there in Sydney.
The exchange rate's good though. Like we're at like
I
what?
bet you come
70?
to LA and ball out.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I want to do a Vegas trip so bad.
Hey,
Same,
bro.
bro.
Hey. We could do that when the shit's not as
Dude,
crazy,
we were
bro, but-
trying with the McGregor fight or with the
Yeah.
or whatever fight, and it just didn't wind up working out. 'Cause we were so unsure if we were gonna do it.
It was like it was being talked about and it never happened, but we're gonna have to tee that up.
So
I
now
love the
that this
idea.
happened, we have no choice. We have literally no choice.
I'm just
Yeah,
letting you know
no.
I'm not gambling at the same table as you because there's a Kevin Hart skit, but the way that my bank account works is it's actually it was dangerous for me to be gambling with Tim and Ninja. I shouldn't have been doing that because I'm like I ain't gonna look like a bitch. I'll tell you that much. Like I'm gonna throw down some cash. Then I realize, him losing 50 grand is different than me losing 50 grand. And then I got to reevaluate my gambling addiction.
That's just what we're clear. That's not what everyone lost. That those are just figures Matt used as an example.
Well, I lost 50 grand. No, I'm playing.
No, dude, I'm 100% like when we all went to Vegas last time with like me, Lockie, Rob, Vic, all those guys. Like I feel like everyone out there gambles a bit. I've noticed for me, if I like say I win $1,000, for me I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm like cool, like I won $1,000. But if I lose $1,000, I'm like, fuck. Like I hate that. I hate it. So I've noticed I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. So for like I'll gamble to a point where I'm like I'm slightly invested, but I'm always like I'm very transparent at the start. I'm like, you guys go big. I'm just gonna be here like doing my little 10, 20, like maybe a $50 bet if I'm feeling a little bit spicy on the evening. But like I'm not going out there dropping like 10K on black, Like
all right, never mind. We can't play at the same table for different reasons now.
Bro, Muselk, man, thank you so much, bro, for coming on the show today. This has been such a blast, man. Every time we hang out, it's just so easy. All of us get along so well, and I know once this all ends, man, when we reunite, bro, I already know. Like we talked about it with Big Star, we talked about it with Lachlan, bro. We talked about it with a lot of the guests on here. Dog, we need to get in touch with MGM. We need to get in touch with everybody we know in Vegas. And there is going to be a YouTube / summit, like whatever platform you're on, summit of everyone getting back together, and it's going to be ignorant. We have no choice. I'm a little bit scared for it. It's going to be like E3, but you cut out all the bullshit of E3 and you go straight to the house party. And it's that, but like 5 days. Oh, bro, I'm so ready, man. That sounds great, dude. So happy for your continued success, and I got a big day tomorrow. So with a big day after this, I should say, with the whole Fortnite update, and you're gonna be grinding away. So hope it's good for you, man. I know Matt and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely, man. It was a pleasure to talk with you. Good luck with cars. Have fun.
Will do.
There it is, guys. Muselk, the legend himself, on the show. All of his links will be in the description, but I know all you guys already know who he is. So go check him out. Subscribe, as you guys know. Also, sub to the 100 Thieves YouTube channel here. The road to 1 mil continues. We are on the way. And with that being said, make sure you rate 5 stars if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and wherever you're listening from. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Another episode in the books. See you guys next time. Peace.
Appreciate you, Muselk.
Peace.